All right, welcome back. We are going to continue on developing our character styles and paragraph styles and so on and so forth. So we started doing a few. You can see I have the body, the list, the recipe subhead, recipe head. So I have a few of my paragraph styles started. And these are all saved as paragraph styles. There's also this thing called character styles. Right now, I'm not worried about where they're going on the page. I'm just kind of making elements. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my body copy for my recipe. Let me open up my recipe. Here it is. And for this, I want to explore, oops, grab the wrong. There we go. I want to copy my instructions. I'm going to do something. I'm going to take in here, I'm going to go ahead. I'm in my Word document again. And the styles pane, I'm going to go ahead and say clear formatting, just to simplify my life so I don't have a bunch of formatting that comes in from InDesign, from Word. Take all that formatting out. So I'm going to go ahead and copy. I'm going to take my type tool. Now I'm in InDesign. And I'm going to make another copy box. And I'm just dumping my copy in here. So this is just raw copy. I'm going to take my instructions and I want that to be a subhead. So I'm going to select my subhead. I'm then going to grab my recipe and I want to make it be the body. And now you can see it automatically turned into the body. And it's already lined up with my baseline grid. Okay, look at something here. What's happening here? What do you think? What's going on there?
Those are fractions.
That's right. Right, they're fractions. Why are they turning into boxes? Do you know why they're turning into boxes?
I think it's because with Word, the formatting, it changes it so much that it's probably more of an object than it is like numbers.
I think it can be that, and it also can be that some typefaces don't have the capacity to do the subscript. See, it says open type properties are not applicable, because some typefaces, depending on the typeface, what face am I using? I'm using Gotham. Okay. So this is, what is this? Actually, I have to go back to the Word to make sure I know what it is. So I'm going to go back to Word. So there it is, a half cup for 4. Okay, so I'm going to go back here. Here's my 1/2 cup. But you notice how theirs was what we call subscript. So let me zoom in. So I just typed in it regularly. I'm going to go into the character settings, and I can select subscript. Actually, before I do that, let's select them both as subscript. Hold on a second. Actually, I think I can't have this. I have to have it this way, one at a time. Subscript. Oh, not subscript. I think it's supposed to be super when it's going up. Superscript is going up and subscript is going down. I'm going to come up a little. I'm going to adjust it. This feels very I think I have to keep, I just want it to be not. No, it doesn't. Right now I have it all as superscript. If I put it all below its bottom, I think I need to have it. Keep that as sub. I'm just trying to get the line. Keeping it on the line. I think I have to keep it regular. It just feels weird with the line that way. I wonder why. I guess it's that way in that one too. But it does feel very heavy, doesn't it? Where did I just see the fractions? Open type, there we go. If I do it through. So if I select all of this and put it in fractions, maybe that's what we do. All right, I'm getting bothered by this because it feels too heavy to me. I'm gonna have to look and see what I can do because most fonts, they will adjust, it'll adjust with the superscript and it's not. So with Gotham, so I'm gonna have to look. Each of your typefaces might work a little differently. So I'm gonna need to go back to Word. I don't know what the other one is, 2 to 3 minutes. What is this? Oh, a third cup water. If I just hit fractions. See, I think Gotham just doesn't have fractions for some reason. We can look in the glyph palette though. Let's just take a quick look. Here's the glyph palette. Ah, they do have a thinner one. Okay, hold on. There it is. That's what I want. It's on a glyph. So sometimes it's in the glyph. There it is. That's what we want. So for this one, same thing. I'm going to want this, and then we can do the character in superscript and subscript. But the subscript goes way too low, so we got to bring it up. There, that's better. That's what it was. We just needed the glyph. So you might need to look for the glyph for those. And we had one more, I thought, right? And this was a half a cup. So if you have another one and you know it's the same, you can just Command C, copy, Command V, paste, and put it in. Okay, so looking for those. So that's how we fixed that. Next thing is I want to add the numbers back in. I took them out. I'm not going to add a dot though. I'm just going to put the number and I'm going to put a space. I'm going to do 2 space, 3 space, 4 space, 5 space, 6 space. All right, now I'm going to show you character settings. So far we've been doing paragraph settings. A character setting, a character style is for just one character, just one. So for example, I want to highlight my numbers. So I'm going to take and make my numbers, I'm going to make them like ultra black, real heavy. And I'm also going to change the color of them to, you know, one of the colors, let's say from my palette. So then I'm just going to do it to 1, and I'm going to go over here to my character styles and say a new character style. And I'm going to call this my step by step numbers. I try to keep my names very clear. So I want you to get in the habit of being very descriptive. And the reason is in a design firm, you're going to be working with lots of other designers. So you want to create your files very easy to understand so that if another person comes in and starts working on your file, it's a no-brainer. It's so easy for them. They're going to have no problem with stepping in and knowing how to use your file because it's so well organized. Okay, so then I'm going to say okay. All right, so then I'm going to go over to my paragraph styles and I'm going to make a copy of my body paragraph style. And I'm going to click on it and drag it down to this plus button. So now I have a body copy. I'm going to select, sorry, I'm going to go into body copy before I select anything. I'm going to go into body copy and make some changes. So on this one, I'm going to add a drop cap and nested style. And so I want my drop cap to get kind of big. So I'm going to have it be 3 lines high, only 1 character because it's 1 number. And I'm going to choose that character style I just made, the step-by-step numbers. I'm going to keep the alignment on the left edge. And I'm going to say, okay. And now I'm going to select all of this and go to body copy. Okay, so there it is. So I'm looking at it going, oh, you know what? The second one only has 2 lines, not 3 lines of type. If I'm doing 3 columns wide, but guess what? I'm actually, in my layout, my columns for this is only 2 columns wide. Does it work if I do it 2 columns? Well, not really. There's only 1 word. And what do we call this when there's just 1 word all by itself on a line? What do we call that?
Widow?
Nope, not widow.
Orphan.
Orphan. Orphan. Good job, Alexa. Good job, Kiana. Okay,
Earlier-
so I'm going to.
Earlier in our class today, our teacher called it a widow. So that's probably why she said that, though.
I didn't
know.
hear what you said. I'm sorry.
I said earlier in our class today, our teacher called it a widow. So that's probably where they came from. So I don't know. if
Which
that's like-
teacher? Me? I
No.
called it a widow? Oh.
No, our digital graphics application teacher, they called it a widow. So that's probably where it came from.
Oh,
I don't know if it's
okay.
confusing.
That can be confusing. And you know what?
Yes.
A lot of people confuse it. A lot of people confuse it. But it is not. This is a orphan. A widow is the top of a second paragraph. So it is, I am your type teacher and I'm telling you it's an orphan. as does Ellen Lupton in your book you're reading. Okay, so I'm going to say that this is not working with 3 lines. Not a problem. I'm going to go back in. So I've decided to make a change. So here's my design. I'm like, oh, this isn't working. I'm going to go back to my body copy. And I'm going to say, go back to my drop cap and say, you know what? I'm going to change that to 2 lines. I don't have enough copy for 3 lines. I'm going to go back to 2 lines. I'm going to leave everything else the same. I'm going to say, okay, boom. There it is. One click of a button and I've made that change. And now I can say that, yep, no problem. It works beautifully. But there's some things I'm not liking. Let's zoom in a little closer because I'm very particular and spacing is very important to me. And I'm feeling like, this is really tight between my number and the beginning of this text. And really tight here on the 4. I don't like how tight that is right there. And the 5's not so bad, but I'm just not loving that. So let's go back to our paragraph styles. And we're going to go back to our drop cap and nested styles. Actually, I think, you know what, I'm not going to do it universally because I think if I do, it won't, every number is a little different. I'm going to do this a little bit manually. I'm going to you notice when I click here, it's the length of my number. And I'm going to go into my kerning. I'm going to go to my paragraph, not my paragraph settings, just my paragraph. Nope, sorry, not paragraph, character. And I'm going to go into kerning. Kerning is just the V with the A and the slash between them. That means we're just doing 2 spaces. This is the kerning. And I'm going to add you have to select there. That's what I want to do. I want to select my 2 letters. Come on. How come it's not? Is it making me use this one? Oh, it is making me use this one. It's making me use the tracking, not the turning. All right. So I'm adding a little space. You have to use the tracking, not the kerning with this. There. Just select it. What is it doing? There it is. Okay, you have to select the number. The 4 is the one that's really bothering me. That feels too tight. Okay, what is going on? Why isn't it selecting? There, 20. 5 looks okay. All right, so I can still decide between, you know, how many columns I'm doing it. It's going to stay, keep moving. Go back to 2 columns. But as you can see, I don't get my number 6. My 6 isn't fitting in. I'll move this to another page. So you can see I have this little red box at the bottom that tells me there's more copy. So I'm going to select and come up here. And there you go. So I'm going to pull down the rest of 5 so I don't, so I start fresh with a, oops. So I start fresh with, stop that, with 6 at the top. I'm going to pull that extra space down. So I want 6 to move up. There we go. But obviously that doesn't look great with just 6. So I might want to even them out. And say, okay, that's what it would look like if I did them. And they're flowing from one text box to the next. So here's how I can organize them into more of a square. And think about organizing them. Maybe adding a little space between my instructions. Now, what is this right here? What did I create right here?
That's a widow.
That's a widow. That's a widow because it belongs over here with 3. All right. All right. And I'll say sometimes I accidentally, if I'm thinking fast, I will mix them up too. I think we all do. But I think just as long as it happens. We all are human and make mistakes at times. All right, does that make sense? So a character style is one character, right? Like I just used the identifying, making the number 4 different than the rest of my body copy. And so here you want to go through once you've kind of got it where you want it, and you can say, oh, look what I got going on here. What is this one called?
An orphan.
That's our orphan. So we can select our orphan and a couple words go into our kerning. And not kerning, sorry, tracking. See, I'm using the wrong words already. I'm going to pull up to see if I can get greens up. And by tracking, I'm going to track all the way to here. I'm going to grab a little bit more than I need. I'm going to use the tracking. There we go. It just took 1 click to pull greens up so that I no longer had that orphan. And now I'm looking at 5, and I feel like that could use a little bit more space. And I'm feeling like 6 might want a little bit more space. Doesn't look like it's doing anything, does it though? There, let's try that. Oh, there we go. Now it's doing something. It's kind of, I don't know about you, but my InDesign is acting a little wonky right now. I don't know why. All right, this feels a little tight here. Pull that open. So you have room to make some adjustments. Let's bring that 30. All right. All right, so there is the difference between character style, paragraph styles. Do we all understand the difference of the two? Yes, okay. All right. Let's go on to, what are we going to do? Oh, we're going to do Adobe Color. So, and do our Creative Cloud library. So let's go into Adobe Color, and we're going to make our palettes. Make sure you're signed in. Okay, I'm signed in. Perfect. Wait, where did color go? I thought I typed it in. Maybe I have to do it here. Adobe Color.
It's color.adobe.com. I always make that mistake too. It sends you to different.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm like going, what is going on? Thank you. You're right. As soon as I start piping it in, there it is. Thank you. I'm like, what is wrong? All right, there we go. Color.adobe.com. Thank you. All right, so you have to make sure a couple things before we get started. Go ahead and make sure you've created a library. So I've created a type class library. You can call it Cookbook too. You can call it, Cookbook, because that's what you're doing. And then you can name it, and I'm gonna name mine, you could name it the name of your cookbook, right? Cookbook 02 is what I'm gonna call mine. And now you can do a couple things. You can, go through the different color choices to choose your cookbook colors, right? You can choose a theme by putting a picture here, But again, you have 2 recipes, so I don't really think picking one of the pictures is a great idea for that reason. You can do trends, and you can look at, like, for example, there's one that's about food. So if I come down here, flavor, it's called flavor. There you have it. So I can look at the flavor one maybe and say, let's look at all the flavor. You know, and that might be something that makes sense for me, for my cookbook, whatever I'm doing. You know, I might want more of an earthy toned one, right? Or I might want something much more fun. Think of the words you're using in your design compass. And so you can go through here, pick your color palette. And it says lots of ideas for you. I go back to the flavor one. I'm going to go with this one, I think. Okay, so I'm going to go with this one. And then it gives you an option to download it or copy it. I'm going to add it to my library. Okay. What's this one? Pistachios. I love pistachios. That's probably why. Okay, so now I'm going to go over here back to my InDesign document. And on the right, I'm going to go into Creative Cloud Libraries, CC Libraries. It's going to take a second to load because it's kind of loading from the internet. So give it just a second. I have my library already created, type class. And so voila, here is the palette that I just saved, the top one. So now I have my color palette, so I could go back in. So for example, magenta is not in my plans here. So I can go back to my character style, go to my step-by-step numbers, go to my character color, and say, oh, you know what we have to do? Sorry, skipping a step. So if I want to add this to my library. I mean, I want to add this to my swatches. Let's see. What? Or did I have to do it manually? I'm trying to remember now how I did this last time. Put this in its own book. But I want to add this, or do I have to manually add it? Maybe I have to manually add it. So if I go here to my swatches, if I have, do I import it here? Can I just pull it over here? Maybe I can't. Oh, here it is. Add CC library. Can't I add the library to my swatches? Maybe I'm doing it backwards. Let's ask Creative Cloud. What am I doing? What am I forgetting? Or did they change it? Could we either? Does any of you, is this making sense to any of you what we're doing is trying to bring it in? So when I'm here, I'm going to grab this color. I'm here. I can grab my color. There it is. So I've grabbed my color. Okay, there it is. So then it's in my swatch. So that's actually the way. Then I can save it. What I can also do, so then, how do I bring that into, so I want to bring that into my character styles. Double click for editing, character color. Ah, now it's in my swatches. So it has to, we have to manually put it in the swatches. And I'll look and see if there's a way, but once I've done that, you can see it turned all of them automatically that new color. I don't know why those turned the color, that should be black. So those are my new color. So the way I did that, let me just repeat, because I know I've been kind of hemming and hawing here. So I've selected something on my page. I've gone into my libraries and I've clicked on any of the colors in my, you can click on any of the colors. And so as soon as I've done that, I've added them all to the swatches as I've clicked on them. So now they're all in the swatches. I can also say, there, I can also take out any colors I'm not using, like I'm not using yellow, I can delete it. I can delete the red. The green, I'm not using that green. This blue, I'm not using. Clicking and dragging to the garbage. Clicking and dragging to the garbage. Well, except for the CM. Well, I guess let me pick the. Yeah, any color I'm not using. So then I like to get rid of those other colors I'm not using, because then it just lets me focus on the colors in my palette. I think I brought them all over, right? Green, beige, brown, light gray. Okay, so there, all my colors are in now. They're the only colors in. So anything I select, I can now adjust because it's in the swatches palette. So if I go back to my paragraph styles, my headline, as you can see, is a different color. So I can go to character color, and it's not in my, that's like not one of mine. So I can go here and say, okay, actually now it's in my color palette. And I can take this one, same thing, the subhead, go to character color, change it to one of my character colors. And it automatically changed anything that was that color. So these three things were all that color, and it changed them. All right, let's pause here for a minute. Any questions?